Think your project's back on track? Think again, because the 7 minutes you didn't spend reading that ecology report are going to cost you 12 weeks and probably around 3 grand. And the worst part, you didn't even know that you'd screwed up yet. This episode is your wake-up call. Stick around where I walk through exactly why planning delays aren't random, they're earned. Right, folks, so this week we're going to talk about the 7 mistakes that can wipe out your whole project. And I got some awesome feedback last week from 2 new features. So the bad news is for everybody listening to this is that I'm going to repeat them again this week. So look forward to Panic Line. And yeah, you could not plan it. They are coming later on in the show. So first off, there's probably a mistake this week that you have made that's going to cost your client maybe at least 12 weeks, possibly even a year, and you probably made it in less than 7 minutes. So what is it? Well, it's not the design, it's not the budget, it's not the planner, it's you. If you are advising people on their planning application, if you have commission tree and ecology reports, what you really need to do is make sure you read those reports properly. So you're sat there, you're looking at the ecology report and you're thinking, yeah, it's all fine. This is our preliminary report. We commissioned it. It cost us a lot of money. We've got all of the information that we needed there, and we're going to send that in with our application. And most people tend to, based on what I have seen anyway, when they are submitting their reports to the local planning authority, quite often they've just not read it. They've not read it through properly. They might have skimmed the summary, but they possibly don't understand it. And then what happens is they come back to us 6 months later and they say, there's a problem with the report that you did. And there's not a problem with the report that we have carried out. The problem is it's not been read and it's not been understood properly. So most delays I tend to see in our consultancy do start with someone skipping the ecology section, assuming that somebody else in the team has caught the details. And that 7-minute skim can cost at least 12 weeks in missed opportunities. So what happens next is generally something that nobody has budgeted for whatsoever. The planning application gets validated because you've sent in the report, but once that report gets in front of the local planning authority ecologist, they have a read through it, and then those objections land 3 to 4 weeks later. The client's furious, the project is now off timeline, and you're chasing consultants to fix a problem that could have been avoided entirely. So that 7-minute shortcut has just cost you probably thousands and thousands of pounds, an angry Zoom call, and possibly your reputation. So what should you have done instead? Well, I'll tell you in a minute, but first off, we've got this. You've got the questions, the planning system's a nightmare. We have got the answers. Welcome to the Planning Permission Panic Line. I've had lots of comments on that jingle. Some of them not very polite, but there we go. We are going to stick with it. So this one is in from Jamal in Lewisham, and Jamal has basically said the council has asked for a biodiversity net gain plan. I've never heard of this. What is it, and who actually prepares it? Well, great question, Jamal. So a biodiversity net gain plan is essentially a very simple document, and what that document does is it states everything that's happened in the project up to that point in terms of the biodiversity net gain reporting, and then it outlines exactly what's going to happen next. You don't need a biodiversity net gain plan up front to get your application validated or to get past the local authority ecologist. It normally comes after planning consent, when they will come back and ask that plan. It should be fairly simple to fill out. It's a couple of sides of A4. You will need your project ecologist to fill that one out for it. So I hope that is helpful. We've also got here today Lucy in Cheltenham, who wants to know, the planning officer mentioned bats in our roof. Do I really need a bat survey, or is that just a tick box thing? Very good question, Lucy. So There are, well, probably have to rewind a little bit. So there are 17 species of bats in the UK. They're all protected. You get some in areas, some in some areas, some not in others. And essentially, it's not just the bats that are protected by British wildlife law and European law. It's also their roosting places as well. So let's just say you've got a standard 2-story house. It's likely that there are going to be what we call potential roosting features on that house in terms of slipped, missing tiles, that kind of thing. And they basically provide habitat and roosting places for bats. So if you were to strip the roof off to carry out your works, there is the potential that you could destroy a roosting place from a bat, or if they're present, harm or kill those bats, which would be a crime. The local planning authority, through development, has a duty of care to ensure that protected species aren't harmed through the planning process, so they will ask for these surveys up front. And they're essentially, what they're going to ask for first is a preliminary bat roost assessment. So an ecologist will do a desktop study to see what, if any, bats are in the local area, to see if there's been any protected species licenses granted in your local area, and if there has been, they will help inform what happens next. Then an ecologist will come out to your site. They will have a look at your property externally and internally. Rover use drones to do that as well, so it helps us get a much better, more justifiable view of exactly what's going on with the roof. They'll do internal checks as well if there's access into the loft void, and they're looking for things like feeding remains from the bats, droppings, any evidence that bats aren't using that place, that space. If they aren't, your report will come back that there is negligible potential for the site to support roosting bats. So that means the roof is in fantastic condition. They can't get in, on, there's no features they can use externally on the property. There's no evidence, and that will come back as negligible. Then there's another 4 ratings as well. We discussed this in a video, which we'll link somewhere here, where we go out on site and we do a bat activity survey. And that's because that building had been classed as having high potential. So you've got low, moderate or high potential, and that dictates the type of surveys you need and the number of surveys that you need. But yeah, we've got some other content on that which you can go and check out, and like I say, we'll link it if you're watching that on YouTube. So Jamal and Lucy, thanks very much for those questions, and that is the end of a planning permission panic line for today. Later on in the show, we'll come back to You Could Not Plan It. So back to my list of things that you should have done. So basically, this is what I call my 3-minute checklist, and quite frankly, this is what separates professionals from amateurs. So what you must do is you must read the ecological survey, the summary and the conclusions. At Rover, what we do is we actually even give you a video walkthrough where we'll really clearly explain to you, the client, exactly what the next steps are and what you need to do to get your planning back on track. Cross-check survey dates. If you are about to send in a report, make sure they're not over 12 months old. If they are, they could be rejected. The reason for that is ecology surveys anyway are only doing a very, very small snapshot of what's going on at that particular point in time. Tree surveys do tend to be valid for 2 to 3 years. It may just need you to send some photos into your arboricultural consultant, and they'll have a look and make sure they're happy with that. Number 3, check through the report, Command F, shove it through ChatGPT, whatever. Just say, what do I need to do? What do I need to do next? So that is a top tip there. You could stick your report through ChatGPT and say, what do I need to do next? Look for any phrases like subject to further surveys, requires mitigation. These aren't optional. These are things you absolutely have to do. And the big one really is just ask yourself, is what you are submitting, does it match the site layout that is in the report? Because that formed the basis of the assessment. That's really important when it comes to things like bats. If you've changed your plan since you had those initial surveys carried out, you'll want to go back to your consultant ecologist and have a chat with them about that, what that looks like. At the end of the day, you wouldn't submit a drawing that was 6 months out of date, would you? So why are you doing it with technical reports? So, what do you do next? As he has a sip because my mouth's gone dry. If you're still submitting planning applications without an ecology checklist in your workflow, then you're probably flying blind at the end of the day. You want to create a submission sign-off list that includes reading the ecology and tree reports cover to cover, or like I say, putting them through AI and making sure that you've done everything that you need to do to support that submission. Get your consultant to do a quick sort of pre-submission voice note or Loom video or something like that to highlight any risks that they've highlighted, because at the end of the day, you're paying them the money, you want that information back. Assign somebody within your team to coordinate all of the kind of pre-app inputs to make sure that you've got all that together. So before we wrap this one up, it's time for, you guessed it. Hi folks, it's time for You Couldn't Plan It, the feature where me and my team have scoured the internet for stupid, silly and downright infuriating planning related facts. Let's go. So what have we got today? Let's have a look. So last week we had a Gladiators unauthorised gym, and this week we've got Grand Designs mansion demolition. So a builder, Mr. Khan, this is all in the public domain, by the way, I'm not naming and shaming here. So a builder, Mr. Khan, was ordered to demolish his 50 grand extension in Bradford. It was deemed incongruous despite being hidden from view. So let's have a look at this one. Oh no, it's another Sun one. I hope we've got no avid Sun readers listening to this podcast. I'm sure we haven't. Let me have a look. Oh gosh, this one looks a bit... I was going to say this one looks familiar, which is really bad if it's come across my desk and it's one that we've actually been involved with. It looks similar to something we've been involved with before. So this guy, I'll get Kian to link an image in the YouTube video, but this is really quite something. I don't know how he thought he was going to get away with this. So basically, this looks like a detached property in a cul-de-sac, and there's a path going down to the rear garden which then slopes down to the site boundary. If it is indeed his site boundary, it might not be, looking at the adjacent properties. And then he's built, well, I don't know what you could call that really, some sort of 2-story monstrosity in his back garden with a flat roof and a kind of gym, barbecue area and all sorts of stuff. I think the Sun is maybe egging this on a bit when they say a £50,000 Grand Design style mansion. I would not say it's a Grand Design style mansion, but anyway, it goes on and it shows some pictures of the building under construction. It's very close to the railway fence at the back as well, so I'm sure Network Rail would have something to say about that. And the Sun goes on to say, the father of one, who is originally from America, wanted to bring a slice of California to his West Yorkshire home that is fit with a home office, game, gym room and rooftop terrace. It's cleverly hidden from view by a railway embankment below and therefore only visible by trains passing. So essentially thousands and thousands and thousands of people a day are going past looking at this, and he thought he was going to get away with it. And it goes on to say, following years of investment by Mr. Khan into the ambitious build, the council have ordered it to be demolished. And Mr. Khan said, it's in a valley, nobody can see it, I thought it was perfect. I won't build it up, I'll build it down so you can't see anything. He said, the building inspector came out in 2008 and gave me the go-ahead, and I never heard anything from the council for years. There was no suggestion that I've done anything wrong, and I'm certainly not saying that because I don't want to get sued. Yeah, it's quite something, that. So again, you've got to make sure you tick those boxes, haven't you? You've got to make sure you do things right. So that is the end of You Couldn't Plan It, the feature where me and my team scour the internet for stupid, silly and downright infuriating planning-related facts. So back to the show. Let's have a look. Where did we get up to? So we've gone through up to 6 points, essentially, around the 7-minute mistakes that can wipe out your whole project. And the final thing that I need to talk about here really is that, you know, if you want your projects to glide through planning instead of crashing onto the rocks, don't wait for that objection letter to drop through the door. Don't wait for those stakeholders to come back and ask for additional surveys. Make sure that you get those reports read through correctly. Make a list of what you need to do next, and yeah, there shouldn't be any surprises for you. So if this has hit home and you're ready to build a no surprises planning process that works, drop me a direct message or book a call on the link below. We do this day in, day out, and yeah, our mission is to help people get their planning back on track. So that's it from me this week, and we'll see you next week.